I wish I could tell you I had this like, line by line business plan. I did have a business plan, right? I probably Googled something at the time. I had this
little
like
template.
whole thing. What's that?
Little template.
Yeah, I had all that. Like, all right, this is how it's gonna go, right?
Yep.
And then for anyone who's been in business, like throw that right in the fire. Like,
You still gotta have it.
yeah, it's still an exercise to go through. I think it's valuable, but like you don't know until you jump into the arena and you get your teeth kicked in and you're like, oh, this is how business works.
Dude, we all have the best time ever to start a small business.
If I'm not gonna be 100% in, I'm not gonna do it.
Come on, man, just be yourself.
Yeah, and
just show up as yourself.
if you don't realize what I'm really about, I'm about freedom, family, and my country. Joe, welcome to the pit, dude.
Yeah, man, this is awesome to be here in person.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Don't get up.
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
I know I really like to do a little homework when I get the show started. And this show has really been about what myself, Evan, Maddie, and everybody who helps us. It's a team approach. Has been about trying to incentivize, inspire, motivate other young business owners. And now this has gone national, which is so cool for all of us to see, because we're just a bunch of guys throwing together an idea.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, and as you and I spoke a few months ago now, and we talked about what you were doing, I'm like, wow, this is a perfect guy. He gets it. Not only does he understand what we're doing, he doesn't necessarily have a podcast, but he's going to these other small business owners who lack in this area of social media and training their teams. And he really understands this. You're also a local guy. You and your wife, Alyssa, and your two beautiful children are right here from South Wall, so not far from Point Pleasant. Small business owner. Working in this space. So you are the guy that we envision having on, and I appreciate you spending your time away from your children tonight and coming on with us. So cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Honored to be here. I've watched several episodes now on YouTube, and it's a really cool, amazing idea you have. You're executing it consistently. That's the most important part.
It is, right?
Yeah.
And that's, everybody has said that to us, and that was a big thing. And I always like to give Evan credit. I'm the guy that's here on the tape, running my mouth and talking trash and having fun. But we said from the get-go, if we're going to do this, we need to commit every week. We got to show up every week with the same tenacity, with just as good of editing and spending the time that we're spending on this, and understand the long game of helping so many people and then reaping the rewards later.
Yeah, that's something that I don't think most people understand, is like you got to be comfortable doing the work and not seeing the results of that for a while, and just trusting that process.
How long do you think that is for the people that are have trepidation getting into social media?
I mean, the thing is, like, most people that consume content are
We're jumping in quick because I know your brain works.
They're not going to engage with it, right? Like therapy. I have a podcast. We have 86 episodes. Doing it consistently for a couple of years, and there's people that I've never heard of. We'll get on the phone with, we'll meet at an event. They're like, oh yeah, I love your podcast, listen to every episode, that sort of thing. Like, and so like you never know who's watching, who's listening, because most people are not gonna like, comment, share, subscribe, DM.
Time out. What's the name of the podcast?
Nailed it, The Business of Construction.
Nailed it, Business of Construction. For those of you who don't like and share, Nailed It, or Fireside, or any podcast you are getting the smallest bit of value from, like, share it. Help it out. Andy says it all the time on his show. You know,
That's the fee.
Only fee I ask for is that you share it. And that happens to us all the time. Like, oh, you're in Fireside. The other day we were at Rod's, and some managers came over. Are you the guy that has Fireside? And I'm thinking, like, I've never seen this lady. He's never engaged, anything. And I'm like, man, I wish that these people would engage and share, because that's how this stuff grows. And it costs us money and time.
Yeah, I get it. And yes, I double down on that message, but that's just human nature, right?
Yeah.
So like, think about how many pieces of content you've seen today, Thursday, like 1,000 maybe?
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then how many you've engaged with, maybe 1 or 2% of those.
Yeah.
And that's just how we all operate. So you just have to trust the process, because you might not be seeing those likes or those dollar signs right away, but like if you're sticking to if you're committed to that quality, like you talked about, like every single week, then it's gonna pay off, So
I want to backtrack a little bit and talk about your story. We're jumping right into it, and there's a lot of value to be had here watching this. So local guy, you go to CBA, end up at BC. Are you a Pats fan?
I am not. I'm a Tom Brady fan, but
All right,
I'm a Giants fan.
All right, that's also
My
unfortunate.
dad has had season tickets since for forever, so that's in my blood.
So CBA, BC. What are some great things that you have to say about CBA, or negative? You know, obviously I've met a lot of people that have gone to CBA, speak super highly of that. The whole school thing is a weird thing right now for me. It's like, where are my kids going to go when they're in high school?
Yeah.
Talk about CBA a little bit quickly.
I absolutely loved it. Like 10 out of 10. Our son's 10. I want him, encouraging him to go there. You know,
Why?
He went to the baseball camp last week. Values. I mean, not that other schools, public schools, don't have that. I went to Wall my freshman year, and then I transferred in CBA, so I got kind of
Public
a taste.
schools don't have value.
Let's be
real.
Both. The values, like they treated you like like kind of like an adult. They didn't treat you like a little kid. You know, they kind of gave you some freedom to screw up or to succeed, whatever. The camaraderie. I always played sports growing up, and just the camaraderie of like a bunch of dudes. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
It was just it was competitive. It helped me to become a better student. I worked harder.
Better teammate.
What's that?
Better teammate.
Teammate, yeah. I mean, that work ethic that I developed, probably before CBA, but definitely during CBA has, continued to today. So.
And what sports was like your main thing?
Basketball.
Basketball.
Yeah.
A lot of basketball guys.
Yeah?
Yeah, recently it's been basketball.
Yeah.
We'll have to play one-on-one one day.
Dude, I haven't played in like a while.
Don't let the big guy fool you. I got some moves. I got some shimmies.
All right.
So you go off to BC. What did you go to college for?
I went to college because it was the thing to do after college. But I went to college. I was in a business school. I got a finance. I majored in. They didn't have majors actually. They had concentrations in finance and information systems. So
that sounds complex.
I thought that sounded pretty smart. So I was like, yeah, give
Let's
that a
roll
shot.
with
I went to school in 99, 2000. So like information systems, that was like the .com boom.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I gotta learn that. So,
the internet.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that stuff's kind of outdated now, but yeah.
And
business.
then did you stay up there any extended period of time after school, or did you come right back?
I did not. I came home during the summers to work and hang out, at the shore where we are.
How could you not?
Can't pass that up, And then, after college, I moved back. I moved to Hoboken, did my post-grad in Hoboken for 4 years. So I never stayed up in Boston. I think Chris was on the show earlier.
Yeah.
He was talking about you stay up there for a few years. I didn't do that. I love it. It's an awesome city.
Now, did you come, and we spoke briefly before the show about your family's business, which they're in the marine trade, correct?
Yep.
And they're based out of Edison and Brooklyn.
Yep.
Were you working with them during the summers, or were you doing, odds and ends, landscaping, bartending?
No, it was all of that. I started when I was 14. My first job was, so the guy that runs the shipyard in Brooklyn, his name's Jay Kelly, lives around here, lives in Brick.
Shout out to Jay Kelly.
Shout out. Picked me up in his pickup truck, drive up there. We'd work 7 to 3, so he'd pick me up at like 5:15 in the morning. I was 14. I'm up there doing blue collar work in the shipyard.
Brick guys are good.
Yeah, solid. He's been running that. He's been doing that, commuting to Red Hook for 30 years maybe.
It's tough.
Solid dude. Love him. So did that for summers all throughout high school, and was the reason I did that. I mean, it was cool. It's a family business. Got paid, but I was always doing like basketball camp. So it'd be like I could work for 3 weeks, take a week off, go to basketball camp. That it was flexible in that way.
Now, do you play in the summer jam league?
No, I never.
Those guys.
So during college, I started playing rugby, and then I played for a bunch of years. Played rugby after college, so that was kind of my young adult sport, I guess. So I never played basketball beyond CBA.
Yeah. These guys all playing this summer jam.
Dude, that's competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He told me I'd sit the bench. He doesn't know my moves. Dave doesn't know my moves.
They got some serious players, like some serious talent in those leagues.
Shout out to Atlantic PT. Actually rocking their hat tonight.
Yeah.
Trying to hide my eye. My wife punched me in the face. She was mad. So you move on from college. You're working in the family business. At what age did you say, hey, this is awesome. My family generationally before me has created an awesome business, but this isn't what I want to do. I want to go carve my own path and do the entrepreneurial route. How old were you when you did that?
I was about 30, 31.
And how old are you now?
41.
41, so 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was. Actually, yesterday, July 20th, 10 years ago, was my last day at the family biz.
No shit.
So July 20th kind of always sticks in my mind as that, inflection point.
So I want to talk about that a little bit. I know there's a lot of people that I've spoke to over the years prior to doing any of this, or just in my 9-to-5 job, that were like, I have this great business in front of me. It's an awesome opportunity, and I feel like they dive right in, but they don't really love it because it's a family business and it's an automatic income of 6 figures or multiple 6 figures, right? Talk about the mindset that you had leaving that and some of the struggles you had, the push and pull with that business being there and the security that you had.
Yeah, I was 6th generation family member. So the business started in 1894, run well, very good tradition, very well run business. My dad and my 2 uncles are the owners. I got to work with them, my cousins. It was an amazing opportunity. It's just kind of at this point in my life where I was around 30, we were starting to have, I think my wife is pregnant with our son Hunter, and I was just kind of evaluating, life, right? It's like, all right, well, I've learned a lot. This is awesome. I can continue to do this for the next 35 years and retire and have a good life and comfortable and job security, which are all amazing things. I don't want to sound like a brat and say that's not good enough. I just had that entrepreneurial bug to say, I want to go see what I can do. You got one life to live, right? I just want to go see what I can do and create something of my own and carve my own path. That was it.
I think you're opposite of a brat.
What's that?
I think you're opposite of a brat.
Yeah.
And not the people that take over their family businesses all are, but a lot of people step into roles that they don't deserve. And I never want to come from a negative position and say, I'm a hater or look or feel that way, but a lot of people step into positions they don't deserve.
Yeah.
So to think the opposite way of, hey, I'm not going to go take this easier route, not that it was easy to anybody or any of your family members who have taken it over, but it's an easier route than being an entrepreneur. That is for sure.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
So what made you jump into this line of work, which has kind of evolved over time, but what were you doing at that time when you first jumped out of the family business into entrepreneurship?
I wish I could tell you I had this line by line business plan. I did have a business plan, right? I probably Googled something at the time. I had this whole thing. What's that?
Little template.
Yeah, I had all that. All right, this is how it's gonna go, right?
Yep.
And then for anyone who's been in business, throw that right in the fire.
You still gotta have it.
Yeah, it's still an exercise to go through. I think it's valuable, but you don't know until you jump into the arena and you get your teeth kicked in, and you're like, oh, this is how business works. Okay.
Yep.
So it was a big learning curve. So I didn't really have too much of a plan. I knew I was interested in marketing, had the construction background. For the first 6 months, fortunately, my wife was working full time in the financial industry at the time, at a hedge fund out in Princeton. So had a little bit of security there. So I was trying to figure out
shout out to your wife.
Yeah, shout out. Takes a team, takes a village. So
totally takes a team.
I was doing websites and marketing for local businesses, any restaurants, in the chambers of commerce and things like that. So I was doing that. And then that was July through December 2012, and then January 2013.
Now, were you doing social media back then, or it was different marketing?
It was more just websites, SEO. That was more.
So a lot of ads, a lot of Google stuff.
Not so much. I never got into that because that's pretty complex. That's a higher barrier to entry. I knew I didn't have that level of expertise yet, so I started off with basic websites and things like that I could, I figured out how to do a WordPress site and.
What drove you to that? What was the pull?
Reading a lot of books at the time. One of the books was Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek.
Yeah, you like that book?
Do I like it?
Yeah. I think it's bullshit.
Okay.
How the hell's a 4-hour workweek?
The title is misleading.
Yeah.
Okay. So he did Google ads to test the title and see what would be the most attractive title. Mm-hmm. I don't think the goal, and that's not my goal, is a 4-hour workweek, but it's build your life so that if you needed to or you wanted to,
You had the flexibility.
You could do that. You had the flexibility.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing for me. I was like, I love to travel. I want location independence. I want, upward earning potential. I want to make as much money as I want.
He's big on that Indian guy. Who's that Indian guy? Yeah, Naval. That was
Ravikant?
Yeah, that was a great book that they wrote for him, or what was the title that he actually did on that book? Forget his role, but it was really a good book. Have you ever read it?
No, I listened to his, I guess he has a podcast. It's deep. It's good.
Yeah, he's like known for like his Twitter storm that he like went off of like how you can actually live a fulfilling, happy life and be successful.
Okay,
yeah.
So that and like through Tim, like got like bloggers. I had my own blog, and I just kind of got into marketing. And
were you always a writer?
No.
So for the guy that's sitting here and he's small, business owner, small town guy.
Yeah.
What makes him think that I should start blogging?
Everyone's got a voice, and it's like something that you're not going to be good at when you start. But you get better at it. You learn how to put your thoughts into words, and get into your audience's head and help them solve problems, whatever that is. So
let me ask you this:
I think people don't get started because they know they're not going to be good at first. But that's just with anything,
Yeah, you got to take action.
Yeah.
When we started this podcast, you look at our first episode to now, it's
right. Yeah.
Drastically better and different. All those blog posts and writings you were doing, how much of that work or relationships that came from that paid you now, years later?
All right, so 2 points on that. So number one, I started doing it on our website, Contractor Dynamics, and writing blogs about marketing for contractors, and we built a national business based upon that, like clients all over the place, just finding educational content on LinkedIn and Medium and sites like that. So yeah, I mean that was the seed for this business that I run today. Another part of that is we had one of my second client ever was a guy named Nick, actually met in Point Pleasant, 2013. He has introduced me to dozens of clients. He's still a client. He's down in Dallas. He lives down in Dallas with his family now.
What does he do?
He owns a roofing company, custom home building company, and a pool building company. He's killing it.
He's hustling.
So he was my second client ever that I met at Vive Gym over here, and back in 2013. And just we had a relationship. We still have a great relationship, and I mean, he's introduced me to so many people that have been, it's crazy.
You just never know. And there's a lot of people that are still hesitant. And there's a lot of industries that have regulation or compliance and things that hold them back. But social media, blog posts, YouTubing, podcasts, whatever you can do, you may start out with 10 people who view it. And then it moves to 15, moves to 18, moves to 20, moves to 200, moves to 2,000.
Yeah.
Evan and I started, it was mainly organic reach. So the person that came on, 150 people watched it. That was probably their friends and family and some other local people that knew of their business. To some of our YouTube views now, under a year still, is 8,000, 10,000 on YouTube alone. Another 4,000 or 5,000 on Instagram clips, X amount on Facebook downloads.
Yeah.
This is only 1 year in. Think about the compounding factor that you have. Everything takes time, right? So if you start a small little marine business, your family's business didn't start with doing the revenues that they do today. It was starting with, 0,
Right.
And then their first case was 100, then it was 200, then it was 2,000. Same thing in the social media space for small business owners,
100%.
which obviously you're, teaching a lot of business owners to do. I'm jumping around. That's what happens.
No, I get it. Yeah, I mean, you got to be, like I said before, like you got to be comfortable trusting the process. Things don't happen overnight. As much as Instagram makes us want to believe that,
Yeah, you see all these fancy cars and jets, and a lot of that is all, facade.
Easy come, easy go.
So as your business progressed, you get out of the WordPress world and doing websites. What did it involve into today? And again, the name of your business?
Contractor Dynamics.
Contractor Dynamics.
It's a mouthful, yeah.
Yeah.
We're a marketing training company, so most people are familiar with like a marketing agency where they're building websites and running ads and doing SEO, and everyone who owns a business has probably wasted a ton of money on those things in the past. Yep.
Overpromise, way under-deliver.
Oh yeah, it's insane. It's insane. So we're a training company. We train contracting companies on how to do their own marketing, how to, number one, identify what it is they want, their ideal clients, their ideal projects, how to create content, how to run social media ads, how to build like a lead handling and follow up and nurture system so that, someone that inquires today might not be ready for
banking for later.
A kitchen remodel today. They might be ready in a year, but how are you staying in front of that person and keeping them in your ecosystem? So we're helping our clients. Our purpose is to equip people and companies with the tools to transform and grow. So we want to give them the tools that they can use to build out marketing system, marketing machine.
Now, what about the person that says, well, you're potentially training that client to leave you? They don't need you anymore. What would you say to them?
Potentially. I mean, there's so much, and that happens. Yeah. I mean, we don't keep every client forever, but there are always things that are changing, right? So a typical client for us is someone that's a marketing manager at a construction company, right? So he or she is working in that construction company. The owner is not necessarily involved in training him or her. So we're effectively their training team on an ongoing basis. And things are always changing, things are always evolving. There's always plenty to do marketing wise.
Yeah, so, a lot of change in the social media game every week.
And part of our value prop to our clients is like, hey, you're spending money, you're spending X amount a month. We're going to help you understand exactly what you're getting from those dollars and making sure that the right resources are always going into the right activities, right? So you're not spending 10 grand on Google Ads and not knowing what it's getting for you. You know exactly what's going on. So that way you can double down, or you can stop doing it if it's not working or whatever.
You're giving them metrics to go back and look at every month.
Absolutely, yeah. And they're working for a construction company that is not equipped to give them that training, right?
And typically the owner of a construction company doesn't have that mindset. They're a builder, or they're good at what they do in their respective fields. They're not marketing minds.
Or they're not, but they understand the importance of it. Yep. And they're saying, okay, well, I have this person, I want this person to be trained. And that's like our perfect client.
And what's some local companies that you are working with? If you're allowed to shout that out.
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask about that. I was thinking about that. We've got a handful of clients in North Jersey, a handful in South Jersey. I mean, we have clients in 40 states, so we're all over the place. The most
awesome.
local one, I got to give these guys a shout out. They're crushing it. Braga Brothers. They're based in Homedale. 3 young Brazilian brothers, second generation Americans. Really coming in with like the social media, the reels, the drone shots, like really high quality content, and just they're doing really well.
And you're just training them to run ads on social media, when to post.
Yeah, so they've got like their organic content calendar, which is like they're posting 5 days a week. Call it. One of the brothers, Tiago, is the video guy, so he's like doing some really good content. So like that stuff, and then running targeted social media ads for roofing, contracting.
Now, are you teaching them to run those ads properly?
Yep. Like they came to us and they had no idea. So like we're hands-on training them on how to do that.
Yeah. That's really a unique approach.
Yeah. Well, you know why it works is because they're getting the content, right? They're getting the video content. They want to get it in front of more people, and they want to understand how it works. So,
well, they have a product to sell now.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, jump in and they're like doing some cool videos, and they got some great TikTok videos, and they may go viral, or they have 100,000 plays or 1 million views, but you have nothing to sell. A company like that, they're selling roofing, siding, whatever it is they do.
But a lot of companies like that, like if they weren't running ads, like yes, the organic free stuff does work. It's a slow build, as you know, but they might reach a couple thousand people. Mm-hmm. Now they can take that ad and they can say, hey, I want to target Colts Neck. I want to target Belmar. I want to target Fairhaven. So they can reach tens of thousands of people with that video that they spent time and energy on.
How often are the algorithms changing? And inside Facebook ad?
Probably weekly, I guess, like minute things, but like on a macro level, maybe quarterly.
And you have people on your team that are just constantly in that.
Carson
Under
is
the
our guy in our team who's like the analytical guy who's going to be on top of all those changes. So.
And then you're relaying that to your customer.
Yeah, or he's training them directly. So I'm not even aware of all the changes that are going on. But they're always testing new things, right? You'll see, we're posting every day, we're running ads constantly, so you get a good sample size of like, okay, well, this isn't working the way it was last week. They must be changing the algorithm or testing something out or whatnot.
What's your total ad spend for all your clients? Are you taking over their ad spend, or they have their own accounts?
It's under their ad account, their ad spend. We'll advise them on like where to start, how to scale it, because that's a big thing when a contracting company hires a marketing company. Like, what's your budget? 10 grand for ads a month. Like, we'll spend 10 grand and we'll see what we get, right? With us, our approach, it's like, let's start small and target some ads toward Point Pleasant. We'll get that working, and then we can kind of expand from there.
But you're doing all on their dashboard.
All on theirs, yeah.
What is the real point to that?
They're building out their brand. They have that data inside. So if they leave us, then they have that, right? A big pain point for any local business or any business really. You hire a marketing company, they run your ads under their account. You guys separate, and you're left with nothing.
Yeah, you don't even know how to redo this.
It's like renting a house, right? You stop paying rent on that house, you have no place to live. If you are building everything under your own house, like you're building equity into your business. So
for the guy who lives in the, let's just say someone like myself who likes to challenge people, and I'm going to say, hey, what is the benefit to you? Why do you want to do it that way? And again, of course you want to help your customers win. That's a valid point, and it's totally legit. How does it help you as a business owner?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
How does it help you not to control those ads?
So if you're a marketing agency saying like I want to control your ads, the marketing agency is going to say, well, we have our dashboard, we have our proprietary this, that, other thing. So it's just going to be easier for you to plug in. And part of their pitch is probably going to be, hey, we're going to start generating leads for you like in 2 days, right? Whereas if we're going to jump into your ad account and do it, it's going to take a month. And so that business owner is
that's also a lie.
Yeah, that business owner is going to be like, oh, well, yeah, I want 2 days is better than a month. So we'll just do it your way.
It all takes time.
Yeah.
No matter where it's coming from.
So it's, it's what's best for the marketing agency, not what's best for the client. And we do what's best for the client, not for us.
You talk about, running social media ads, doing these things for small business owners. What's something simple? I like to give nuggets on the show. What's something simple a small business owner can do tomorrow without hiring Joe and his team that would immediately impact their business in a positive way? It
doesn't need to be a podcast, but I just swallowed some smoke.
Yeah.
All right, so
the wind gets you.
Everyone's got like this little marketing machine in their pocket right now, right? You might be watching this thing on your marketing machine. Like, get on video, right? It doesn't have to be you as a business owner, but someone in your company is probably comfortable getting on video. And that's just gonna, we're all in the business of trust, right? I have a service-based business, you have a service business. We're all in the business of building trust. So that's the fastest way, the most effective way to build trust is to get on video and, share your story, talk about your projects, talk about your products, talk about the come up story, talk about, it doesn't have to be talking about yourself, but just share education, answer questions that people in your market have,
So I was trying to sell this concept to older business partners, as well as talking to my father-in-law about it, who's a very successful businessman and smart guy.
Okay.
You virtually create relationships. So back, call it 10 years ago, if we were both 30, and we were meeting each other, it was either on the soccer field because our kids were playing, or we were meeting at Jenks or wherever it may be.
Yeah.
We just ran into each other. Nowadays, it's like a lot of people don't really want to hang with you face to face. Not that doesn't happen, but they want to get to know you virtually first. It's like the vetting process. And when I explain that to older people, they really don't get that, but
Right.
It couldn't be more true. People want to get to know you, and if you're putting video up and they're getting to know your personality, they're getting to know how you think and feel, there's, I don't know how many hours now of footage of me. You pretty much know where I stand on many things.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
There's no hiding from it.
Right.
You could be a great bullshit artist, but over time, there's patterns in people, and people who are intelligent recognize that. And I couldn't agree more that you need to get on video. I don't give a shit how uncomfortable you may be. Get on video, especially if you're the face of your business or you want to be the face of your business, and just put yourself out there. No matter how uncomfortable it is, you will get better at it, because the longer you're not, the more of a market share that your competition is grabbing from you.
100%, yeah. Absolutely. And think about it this way, like you're a small business owner, anyone that's like, I'm uncomfortable. Everyone's uncomfortable getting on video, right? So just by getting over that hurdle, you're gonna stand out, and you're gonna make a difference.
Yeah, we all critique ourselves, right? Like, I shouldn't have said that, or I'm not the best, wordsmith. I don't have the largest vocabulary, and I don't claim to be. But over time, you're like, hey, this is who I am, and I'm going to relate to the people who relate to me.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing that I think people need to realize in the social media game, and I'm sure you can elaborate on this further. You don't need to capture everybody. There's 400 million people almost in America alone.
Right.
Not to mention, we have the ability to run ads globally.
Right.
Especially if you have an online product and you're in the e-com space, you could sell your coaching or coaching, videos anywhere around the world.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid. The 1% or the 0.5% or the 0.25% of 400 million is a lot of people that are going to think like you that you don't think is out there. There's only so many personality types.
Yeah.
Right? And there's people who have walked your path, who have similar businesses, who've been through similar experiences. And if you're 2 steps ahead of them, they want to try to shorten their learning curve.
100%. Yeah. I mean, we were on, we had a group call today, an intro call with 3 of our new clients. We're on Zoom. It was 2 of us, Benny, who's on our team, and 3 clients. And we had a 2-hour call, and it was business coaching. And at the end, I'm like, I am so proud to have you guys as clients, because like our value alignment is like, it's awesome. Good guys, good values. They're doing it for the right reasons, not for the money. Like that's what it's all about.
What do they do?
What's that?
What do they do?
They're all contracting company owners, all roofing company owners.
Roofing.
One in Portland, Oregon, one in Indianapolis, and one in North Jersey, Kearney.
Is roofing a big thing that you target?
That's 90% of our business right now.
Why roofing?
That guy Nick I mentioned before from
blew
Point,
it up.
He introduced me to a bunch of his buddies in the roofing industry. He's a roofing company owner. I ended up getting on stage at a few conferences, working with one of the bigger associations in the roofing industry, and it just kind of grew from there. It's a gigantic industry. It's crazy.
So talk about that.
Yeah.
Chris talked about that a little bit with getting out there.
Yeah.
Back to the old school. You still are going to conferences.
Yeah.
Right? You're still going to these industry, thought leader conferences, whatever you want to call them. Talk about the importance of that if you're a guy working in a space that is, nationally.
Yeah, I mean, like we have clients all over the country, which is awesome. It's fun, it's exciting. We do a lot of stuff. All of our training is on Zoom. We're on social media every day, that sort of thing. But it's so imperative to get out there and, face to face, breaking bread, having drinks, coffee, whatever it is with our market, because that's how people really that's how you build relationships with, right?
I gotta go off.
What's that?
I gotta go off. I like rants.
Go.
These fucking people nowadays, especially the younger people. And
Keyboard warriors?
Yeah, keyboard warriors, Gen Z, and I'm sure that, Tim Kennedy actually put a post today about Gen Z, a firefighter jumping out a second-story window and saving people. And every generation is different, and the generation before is going to pick on the new generation. But there is still human interaction that needs to happen. My wife alone, I love her to death. She'd rather argue with an email bot than pick up the phone and just solve the problem. I tell her all the time, you have phone reluctance, babe. You have to get out in front of people. I see young people in the coffee shops, in restaurants, and just retail shops. They have no ability to talk to me. And I like to talk, obviously. I got a podcast.
Yeah.
You need to figure out how to become comfortable with getting out there in those settings.
Right.
And it's not going to be hiding behind a keyboard. Right now, we had this pandemic, and all these things kind of changed the dynamics of the workforce, right? Most places will probably go back to a hybrid model, but you need to learn how to communicate, real communication, like you and I are doing
100%.
now, face to face, over and I love social media, that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But I think it is just as important or more important, because eventually you and I could talk virtually, and we have.
Yeah.
We've talked on the phone.
Right.
But doing this is going to lock the deal.
Dude,
right?
totally. I'll tell you a story about that. So last week I was in Charlotte, North Carolina. This guy knew I was going to be there for this other event. He's been a prospective client of our company for probably 2 years, has never pulled the trigger, all right? And that's fine, whatever. We're playing a long game. This guy, his name is Chris. He's like, I want to pick you up from the airport, take you out for lunch. I'd love to meet you. I'm like, all right, Southern hospitality, this is great, right? Have lunch with Chris.
He wants to look you in the eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Seriously.
totally. Yeah, he wants to feel you out.
Good dude. Before that, he was a guy in our CRM, Chris Merritt, in our CRM, prospective
banked for
client.
later.
Why isn't he committing? What the heck? What's his deal? You know, close him up. Let's go, guys. And then I met with him for lunch. I'm like, yeah, I understand why he hasn't become a client. He just doesn't have the bandwidth, the time right now. It's not a money thing. We had a good lunch. He refers one of his good friends to us, another contractor in Charlotte, who became a client, a 12-month client yesterday. I mean, I didn't plan that. I didn't pitch him. I didn't ask him for referrals. Like, we just had lunch. We're talking about life, business, family, the whole thing.
Because think about how many bullshitters are online.
That's the thing. And that's why, like, I could sit in my home office and run Facebook ads all day, and we could do okay. But, like, I get on the road once or twice a month, and
It's huge.
we're going, like, I'm going to Florida next week. We're doing content. Like, getting that content is another thing about, like, interacting with your market. It's so key.
Well, think about cell phones, right? When cell phone was created, you had a lot of guys. I wasn't around really in the sense of business back then. I was probably 7th, 8th grade when they became real popular. But think about the guys who resisted that.
Yeah.
They quickly realized that the guys who embraced it became more successful. But that didn't eliminate the face-to-face meeting.
Right.
Same thing with social media. It doesn't
Totally.
eliminate the face-to-face meeting. And where
100%,
I think I am best, where I show my true, genuine colors, is in front of somebody.
Right.
And as much as, I want to be home with my family and I want to have the most freedom I can in my day, and I could sit on social media, I could run these podcasts all day long, where I have realized for Fireside as well as my business, it is most impactful is when I can get in front of somebody.
Yeah.
And we can end this rant, but you're a young person out there. Stop being fucking scared. Get out there,
Yeah.
meet people. Hit me up. You're at 250 of income and above. Reach out to us. Let's get you to our mastermind event. Meet great dudes like Joe and everybody else that's in our ecosystem. Moving along, 9 employees. We talked about that earlier.
9 team members, not all full-time employees, but some contractors.
There's some resources.
Yeah, team members.
So talk about somebody who's leading that, right? And you're doing some of that virtually.
Who's leading that?
You're leading it, right?
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the tips or nuggets that you would give to somebody that maybe doesn't have that traditional office space where you have those 9 people in-house and you're using Upwork, or you're using someone, in North Jersey or New York City or the West Coast, wherever they may be housed.
Yeah.
But they're not in your office. Talk about how you bring that all together and make sure everybody's still working as a team for the success of your customer.
Right. And that's what it's all about, right? You have to have that vision, the common mission, the core values, communication. Is you have to over communicate. You have to go out of your way. So we're 9 people. We're spread out throughout country, and we have a couple people overseas as well. Over communication, right? Because you're not all in the same room. You're not seeing the body language. You're talking on Slack. You're talking on Zoom. So communication is key. Everything rises and falls on leadership. I'm a John Maxwell fan. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but like everything rises and falls on leadership. So that's something I never really consider myself like a leader, right? You see like other people maybe with white hair or like leaders, but like you need to be a leader, whether it's one person, whether you have, contract labor overseas or whatever it might be, like they're looking to you to lead them. They want to see that you know where you're going and you have that common vision, you're sharing that, and you have core values and you're operating by them. Those are key. Like we have team meetings, every full team meeting, we go over our core values. You know, we call people out who have represented those core values who have helped our clients.
And those team meetings, are they monthly? Are they weekly?
Every 2 weeks we have a few, but every 2 weeks we have a full team meeting. Every 2 weeks we have a training team meeting. We have a sales team meeting every week. We have a level 10 meeting every week. So I don't want to have meetings for the sake of meetings. No one wants that. Everything has an agenda. Everything has a time frame. We're not just getting in the room and like sitting there.
It's very laid out.
It's very laid out. There's an agenda. There's a stop time.
So you really are, and we were just talking about in person what you're doing, but you really are a virtual business.
We are.
And that can be difficult because you're not having this
Yeah.
human element of like, you're fucking up, dude. Like, this was supposed to be done a week ago. What are you doing?
There's definitely challenges to it for sure. There are. Yeah.
Talk about how you get over those hurdles. I know we talked about communication, but how do you have that conversation with someone who may be in the Philippines that's fallen behind on, you know, the content that you need or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, I mean, it's communication. And for me, I'm a nice guy, right? So I'm not always direct. It's not always natural for me to be direct. But with a virtual situation, you need to be direct, right? So like one of our calls, I think it was yesterday, one of our client Zoom calls where we had like 15 people on, was not being recorded, right? And we record all our calls so we can send them out to the clients who weren't there and that sort of thing. And instead of being Mr. Nice Guy, I just wrote in our Slack group like every call has to be recorded. We missed a really good soundbite from one of our clients that could have been a really good testimonial for us, by the way, but just have to be direct about that. Communicate expectations, and you can't tolerate, you know, things that you don't want, right? If you start allowing people to slip or show up late, and you tolerate that, then that becomes a new norm where it's like, oh, I can show up 3 or 4 minutes late. Joe's not going to mind.
You
right?
just teed me up so good, man.
Now I try because it's still not natural for me, but I have to say, like, Dan, who comes late to our calls, Dan, bro, we start like 3 minutes ago. And when that person shows up late, like, I don't acknowledge them because I don't want to, we already have energy going for that meeting. I'm not going to pause and give energy to the guy who showed up late. That's not fair to everyone else.
Correct.
So they have to catch up.
So I think one of my best attributes, and it's been misunderstood, mistaken over the time, is calling people out and telling them what they don't want to hear about themselves.
Yeah.
And I ask for that feedback on myself.
Right.
And I still sometimes don't fix it. I still sometimes have my own issues with certain people. Like, some people may call me out and be like, okay, I don't respect you, I don't care what you're saying, but the people I respect, it cuts me to the core and I want to improve.
Right.
And I welcome that constructive criticism. But I'm a huge advocate on being direct.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason for you and I to have this type of business relationship if we're not trying to get to where we want to go.
Right.
And if I can't tell you that you're fucking up, then we're wasting everybody's time.
Yep.
The customers, yours and I's. So I want to talk a little bit about the person who may be overseas who has a language barrier.
Okay.
Right? So everybody, the hot topic, the hot word is, you know, resource. So you're grabbing off of Upwork or other platforms that allow you to grab an editor or an accountant or whatever it may be. How are you communicating with that person? And what would you tell the small guy that's using those more affordable routes?
Yeah, so we had this situation today on one of our group calls. One of our clients, it was a roofing company in Ohio. Her name is Martina. And she's like, yeah, we're hiring a VA to handle some office admin. And I think people like that assume that you're going to hire a VA and it's plug and play. It's just like, all right, you start on Monday, let's go. Like, no, it's just like anyone else. You have to indoctrinate them into your processes, your culture, how you do things, plus the language barrier, plus the cultural barrier. So some people, like in the Philippines, for example, like they're very, they're very coy, they're very shy about bringing things up, right? So you kind of have to extract things from them that they might be too shy to
That's
figure out.
because they're all Christians.
Yeah, yeah.
They're loving.
So yeah, it's again, communication. Like, you have to be very clear on the expectations and you have to take extreme ownership, which is one of our core values, right? So if I delegate something to you and you're overseas.
You read the Jocko book, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. And you screw it up, I'm not going to say, man, you screwed that up. I'm going to say, I'm going to go back and look at my instructions and say, how could I have been more clear in my instructions? And that has helped me tremendously.
How are you note-taking all this, right? I hear you talk, and you're dealing with these people overseas, and a lot of it's online, like, just a stupid thing, and this is my ADD jumping around. How are you note-taking this? Do you use a certain device? Is it in your cell phone? Do you have an old-school pad? How are you doing all this?
Communication back and forth virtually?
Between, like, let's just say you're on with Martina, you're on with John Smith, you're on with Mike Smith.
Yeah.
You're then getting off with Mike Smith and Martina, and you're communicating back to the Philippines. What are you using to keep yourself organized?
CRM tools. We use Pipedrive as our sales and fulfillment CRM. We use Trello for like a project management CRM. We use Slack for just kind of one-off communication.
Talk about those systems. How important are those to your company and your customers?
Huge. I mean, things are documented. Everything's in the calendar. If meetings aren't in the calendar, they're just not going to happen. People aren't going to show up. So yeah, they're huge for us because. So Elizabeth is my right-hand girl. She runs our training department. She's our head client success director. So she has, 5 calls a day with clients, right? Today we probably had 10 calls, sales calls, training calls, 2 group calls, all that stuff, all those notes are documented in our CRM. So I can go home tonight if I want, or tomorrow, and just look up how's Ryan doing, how's John doing,
you
how's
can print
Frank?
an overall dashboard report.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Now those systems you talk about, did you work with the company? Because I have a couple different CRMs in my business, and I was able to customize some other stuff. I have a lot of compliance. I got to utilize their stuff that they built. But do you have a lot of customization to it? Because what you're talking about as a training company in the call it digital space.
Yeah.
The guy who's running a coffee shop is obviously a very different business, or the guy selling T-shirts online, or the guy selling video content. Those systems that you have, do they have a lot of customization to them?
We don't. We're about to jump into that. It's one of our big priorities for Q3. So we have kind of a
Talk about why.
So because we have a Frankenstein system where as we've grown, we have Pipedrive, we have ActiveCampaign, we have Slack, we have Trello.
They're not communicating with each other.
A couple other things that I don't even remember right now. And it's like, and I realize it the most when we bring on a new team member. And I'm like, oh yeah, for this thing you go over here, and for that thing you go over here, and then you have to do this thing.
Onboarding.
Totally. And so one of our rocks for Q3.
Deals is great, right inside ActiveCampaign.
What's that?
Deals.
Yeah.
The CRM literally inside ActiveCampaign is.
Yeah, those are cool. See, we don't even use that. So we use Pipedrive for deals. We're going to probably go to Go High Level, which is for digital agencies, to have everything under we have
one
another
umbrella.
thing called Chirp, which is just for SMS. So everything under one roof. And for that, we're going to hire a consultant to help us build that out, customize it, so everything's just
the communication all in one centric place is so important.
But as you're starting out, you're a coffee shop, you're a landscaper, you're an insurance agent, whatever it is, there are industry-specific CRMs that I would highly recommend, right?
All day.
You're not going to build something custom out of the gate. You do that 5 or 10 years down the road when you figure out what you need.
Yeah.
But take something out of the box that's going to get you started, right?
There's a young guy, Trevor, that we love. He was on the show, Trevor West. I don't know if you saw his podcast.
No.
He's a great kid, and he's just a listener. You say something to him, and he listens. And I myself, Evan, I don't think anybody takes credit for his success, but I said to him the other day, I'm like, you get up every day and you work hard, but you don't know what your day is. Keller Williams has a whole system that they have paid at some level to implement into all their offices. Why aren't you using that? So here's the nugget for small business owners, get organized.
Yeah.
My day is laid out, because especially, again, I hate to tap on it all the time, but my ADD will steer me off path. I'll get stuck at the coffee shop talking for 2 hours about, conspiracies. Who knows?
Yeah.
But, Ryan gets up, gym at 6:30, reading a book at 8:30, breakfast, hang with Colton, wife time, this meeting. My whole day is laid out, and that is all coordinated with my team. Everything that I do, everybody knows what's going on. And then we have the ability with Teams, Zoom, and everything else to communicate any way that we need to. But as a small business owner, do not sleep on that, because you get up and you don't know what your day is. Like, it's a waste of time.
Yeah. I'm the same exact way. Everything, I live in my calendar, right? So if you call me and it's not a scheduled call, no offense, I'm not going to answer it, because I'm doing something else, you know? And most people don't operate like that. Like, we actually talked about that today.
Big Matty. Get a refill.
What's up?
A little refill.
Oh.
Tiny bit.
Yeah, we actually went over that today in actually I did a Facebook Live for one of our groups, and I talked about how do you get out of your own way. And one of the things was like operating in your calendar, which is something that most people don't do.
I think a lot of people think that, and I was one of them, I think that you think that, oh my God, it's so stressful, I gotta look to my calendar. It is the exact opposite for me.
Discipline equals freedom.
Yeah, dude. It is like, when I know what I have to do the next day, and I know that I'm usually an early riser. The last 2 days, because of my screaming children, I was up at 4, but most times, latest, I'm up 5:30. And I read a little bit, something I enjoy for enjoyment. I just read Scars and Stripes, Tim Kennedy. Everybody needs to read that book. Great life lessons, whether you like military guys or not. Great life lessons.
Awesome.
And then I roll into, I have a little espresso or a coffee, get to the gym, or I work out in my garage, get my body going, my mind going, and then boom, it's breakfast, this, that. And those days go so much smoother versus the day where I'm like, I know I got a couple appointments, but what am I doing in this gap of 2 hours, or what am I doing here? Those days seem so much busier when I actually have less to do.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, So anybody not following a calendar and making the calendar dictate your day, you're missing out.
Live in your calendar, not in your inbox, because there's always going to be distractions, right?
So I want to talk about you as a father and a business owner. This is something I've brought up with a ton of different business owners. Talk about the work-life balance. I did a post today. Maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't.
I did not.
Yeah, it was about, working hard towards your goals as a family unit and balancing, still having fun with your family while you're achieving that or trying to obtain that. Mm-hmm. Talk about how you do that with Alyssa and your children.
Yeah, so I live by my calendar. I'm pretty compartmentalized, right? So I don't work like crazy amount of hours. I'm usually like a 9 to 6 type of guy, but I can be flexible and jump out to go to baseball games or whatever if need be. But when I'm working, I'm focused. And my wife will tell you that. Like working at home, like
you're in it.
I go into the kitchen to get some water or coffee. She tries to ask me a question. I'm like,
take her head off. I get it, dude. I totally get it. And we love our wives. Trust me, my wife gets it.
I don't give her a dirty look, but she could just...
I'm on a meeting!
I'm writing an email in my head right now, pouring coffee. I'm thinking about that guy to get back to. Like, you're asking me about soccer practice? Like, what are you even talking about? No. She could probably see it on my face. So, I'm locked in, right? And then when I'm done, I have a little end of the workday routine that I do, kind of a little brain dump.
What is it? Take us through that routine.
I have a moleskin notebook, like a pen and paper notebook, and I'll just kind of brain dump things that I did not get done that day that I want to do tomorrow. I'll look at my calendar for the next day. I'll make sure everything's mapped out. I know what I'm doing. I follow the Andy Frisella power list, so I do 5 power list tasks every day.
Talk about that. People that don't know what that is.
All right, so Andy Frisella, one of my the guys that I follow the most, I guess, on social media.
Great podcast, too.
Podcast, 75 Hard, the whole thing. So he has the power list, which is 5 things that you do every day. Ideally, you plan them the night before. So tonight's Thursday, so Friday. I'm going to plan 5 things that I'm going to do that are going to move the ball forward in my life, my business, my fitness, whatever it is.
And they can be small. They don't have to be huge.
Totally. Get back to this guy, call this guy, set this appointment, whatever. And I know that when I accomplish those 5 things, I win the day.
I'm matriculating the ball down the field.
I win the day, right? Whatever else happens, if I get those 5 things done, like I'm doing a good job, right?
It's prioritizing.
So I do those 5. I'm actually in a little bit of a messenger group with that. There's about 10 of us in there. So we submit our power list every day to one another.
Accountability.
And if we miss one day, we get kicked out of the group.
That's awesome.
So it's $1,000 buy-in. Everyone gets in the group. And then you miss one day, you're out. And then at the end of the year...
How do they make sure you did it?
I mean, it's honor system.
Yeah,
But if you don't post it by the end of the day, you're out of the group. By the end of the year, it's last man standing, or if you're, there's a few of you, then we'll see what happens.
Is there winnings?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably 20 people that put in $1,000. So
now, what about those guys that end up doing business together?
End up doing business together?
Yeah, you guys are in this group. It's accountability.
It's funny. There's not much in that group. There's not much camaraderie. It's all just post your 5 things. I don't even know most of the people in that group, actually.
Yeah. Maybe you should try to.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's a big thing. So the power list, family time when I'm with family, it's, as you know, it can be hard, but I try to be, I be where my feet are, right?
Very hard.
I want to be present. I want to be, kids are 10 and 7, right? It goes fast, as you'll see.
I already saw my son's 3, and it.
Yeah, but it goes fast, and you're like, man, they're not going to be this age forever. Like, it's, I just want to be as present as possible. I don't work weekends. I mean, I get up and do my morning routine on the weekends. I read, I write. But beyond
business
that,
ownership gives you that flexibility.
100%, yeah.
So, talking about those power lists and Andy and, everything that he's about, 75 hard, I lost that day 60. To be very precise, I think it was like 57 or 58. I went to Vermont and I was done. My body was hurting. I'm going to do it this January. I'm going to complete the whole 75 hard. But there's a lot that comes from that, because I think a lot of us are set in a certain way in our minds that we are limited. We are limited in our physical abilities, our intellectual abilities, our abilities in general. And 75 hard is literally built on that's fucking bullshit. Expand your capacity in all sides of things. Talk about 75 hard and what it means to you. And you've done it a couple times now. Yeah,
the biggest thing is it gives you the confidence. When you win 75 days in a row, like, you get this level of confidence that you've never had before.
Talk about winning. So the people don't know it. You're winning. You got to do 2 workouts. You got to read 10 pages. You got to drink your water. You got to stay on some type of strict diet. That's a win every single day. Almost like somebody who, I'm just defaulting this, but somebody who's trying to recover from alcohol, right? Yeah. It's one day at a time, one step at a time. You're doing something that's a lot of work on top of being a dad, being a husband, running a business.
And I think that's what trips people up a lot who have heard of 75 Hard or some other kind of like program that they're like, oh, I'm too busy. Like it's easy for that guy, right? But I'm too busy. I got a lot going on. The thing about it, and I just did a video about this on my podcast, is like it actually helps you create more time, which is so
all day
counterintuitive.
All day.
Because you're like 2 45-minute workouts a day, plus this other stuff. Like, I don't have time for that. But then once you do it, it gets you hyper focused on your calendar once again.
Yep.
And you're saying no to things that don't fit. Yep. And all of a sudden you're like, what was I doing with all this time before? Like, I'm so dialed in mentally right now.
Yep. I was taking a shit for too long.
Yeah, totally. It's crazy. This morning, actually.
It's so wild.
Because I'm done now. I finished last week. This morning, I was just like...
That beer tastes good, doesn't it?
Yeah. I was screwing around in my morning routine. I do my thing, and I'm like lollygag, and I'm reading extra, and I was like delayed on my workout. I was like, last week, I never would have done this. But I mean, maybe I'm taking a little liberty this week, just kind of chilling a little bit.
You deserve it, dude.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
But it when you prove to yourself that you can do something, like you're checking that box. If you have the app, you're fulfilling that app every day. You're getting that dopamine.
The app will tell you you're a pussy real quick if you do not complete the task.
Or you've done it, you check that box, you get that dopamine hit, you're like, all right, and you just focus literally on one day. I've had family members, friends going recovery, AA. It's like it's one day at a time. It really is.
One day at a time. Would you ever do the live hard? I don't know if I would. I enjoy bourbon too much.
I'm on the fence. Don't tell my wife. I'm on the fence. No, I think I might. I think I should do it this year.
Your wife probably hates that. Yeah, I know. My wife was like, "You're not having any fun. You are way too serious." And I was very serious in it. I was very, call it uptight. I didn't have any outlets.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, like, the second workout is tough because it's night. Like, kids are doing sports and things like that. So what I started doing the past month or so I did back-to-back workouts in the morning.
You're not allowed to do that, though.
Yeah, they're separate workouts.
I don't think you're allowed to do that.
Yeah?
I don't think you're allowed to do that.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to go.
No, I didn't go 90, but I would do 45. I'd take a break. I'd get some water, coffee, change my shirt,
You're
whatever.
not allowed to do that.
Come
Andy
on.
would be upset
You're killing
with you.
me.
You're not allowed to do that, dude.
How much time do
The
you
whole
need?
point of it is that you need to.
3 hours?
Yeah.
Is that in the book?
Yeah, that's in the book.
All right. Then I did not do
You did
70,
not complete
I did
it.
not do 75 hard.
All right, Andy, he didn't complete it, bro. Right on.
This is accountability right here.
This is accountability.
So I had never read the book.
Because that crushed me too. Because I would be like, well, I'm up at 4:45.
Right.
I'll go walk Bayhead. Even in the middle
Right.
of winter, I was like, I like snow. This is cool. I'll go to the gym after. Like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do that.
So I asked a friend about that, my friend Mark, about that. And he's like, yeah, as long as they're 2 separate workouts, like
Mark's
you do your
cheating.
thing.
That is not what Andy said.
But hey, to follow my own core value, I did not take ownership. I did not do my own research. I asked a friend. So,
Yeah,
the past 3 weeks, that's what I did.
Well, think about time management again.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because Andy's like, well, yeah, of course we could do 90 minutes because realistically that is much easier. I just do it all at once. I book the rest of my day.
Right.
Accordingly.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're supposed to have a 3-hour window in between.
Man.
Yeah.
Killing me, man. I regret coming here tonight.
Your wife's gonna hate us.
I got it all over.
Alyssa, I'm
So
sorry.
I honestly
I'm sorry.
didn't. I didn't know that. Yeah.
But still, to do 75 days of that type of workout, that type of mentality, is a win in itself. And everybody who trash talked me and my friends that I didn't complete the full 75, I was proud of myself. By no means does alcohol control me, but we live at the shore. Like, I couldn't think about a period that I went a full 45 days without at least a couple alcoholic drinks throughout that time frame. Like, it didn't exist in my world. So I was proud of that alone. The workouts, the reading. I'm not the best reader of a book. I'm a big audiobooks. I could be driving the truck, cutting the lawn, running,
Right.
and I literally retain it through audio, right? My reading comprehension isn't great. So, reading 10 pages a day was actually hard for me, but I started to enjoy it.
Cool.
So just doing what you did was...
It challenges your assumptions, right? You think
Yes.
you're not a reader. You think you can't go 75 without drinking, but like it challenges your assumptions that you have for
Yes.
yourself, and you realize you're capable of much more.
100%. And you'll be capable of splitting those workouts up.
Dude, this is killing me right now, man.
So I want to jump into the end of this. We've been rolling, and I hope you've had fun. I want to talk about a couple other business owners. We like to give business owners a shout out, especially local business owners. I know you love your girls and guys from around the country who you help, and obviously they help pay your bills. But I want to talk about local people. This is about the local people. Give me 2 business owners you want to give a shout out to.
Well, I mean, in any, and this might tie into what we'll talk about next as far as advice for, younger people starting out. You can't do it alone, right? You've got to have your board of advisors, those people that you go to make those tough decisions or to work through those hard times. The first 3 years of my business, I tried to figure it out on my own. I struggled. I got a business coach, and that kind of helped, and I still have business coaches today. But 2 local guys, you're wearing his hat right now.
Manzo Brothers, good
Dave
guys.
and Mike. I'm closer with Dave than Mike, but really I consider a peer mentor. And I would call Dave up, and I'd be like, hey, man, I'm going through this challenging time. This is going on. What do I do? Those guys have been in business since 2001, right?
Yeah, a long time.
So double the time I have. And so Dave would be like, come over now. I'll get coffee. We'll sit on the back patio. We'll talk about it. Like that.
He's coach.
Awesome.
Hey, coach.
Totally.
I call him coach.
Awesome. So I value that tremendously. He's an awesome guy.
They're good guys. Atlantic PT, and again, I'm
Shout
rocking
out,
out
yeah.
today. That was not anything that we rehearsed.
No.
At all.
I mean,
they
that
are
was
good dudes.
But
We
they're-
actually put him right in our whole new intro video. We made sure that Dave and Mike are front and center.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, great guys. I mean, Dave has helped me out with some entrepreneurship can be lonely, right? So it's hey, I would go to him thinking that I have this, problem that no one else has ever had, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, we went through that, a few years ago. Here's what you do." So that's huge. And then my brother-in-law, Justin Bennett, who I mentioned before, Bennett Financial and Link
Another
Crofts,
advisor, right?
in Little Silver. Yeah. My
Tommy's
sister's.
got to get on the podcast.
Yeah,
We got to talk to him.
He would love to. Yeah.
He's probably worried about compliance, though. He's a little buttoned up, you said.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's a amazing business owner. He's been doing it for a while as well. So like I've had some difficult decisions to make in business over the years, and he's one of the phone calls I make, and he's very level-headed and very able to give advice. And
you know what's crazy about advisors that I don't think most people realize is that you end up dealing with a lot of business owners, and you are in their problems with them.
Right.
So let's just say I'm managing, $2 million for them, and we've gone over, debt reduction pay downs, or we've gone over, taxes with their accountant. Like I am their quarterback to everything that they're doing. You learn a lot about a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
Just indirectly, it just kind of gets packed in your subconscious. So to have someone like your brother-in-law Justin to bounce that off of is huge. And anybody out there, don't sleep on advisors. I don't want compliance to get mad at me. These people have really seen a lot, whether it's their business or not. They understand a lot of systems. They understand a lot of problems, and go to these people. Don't be shy about it. They're not just stuck in one micro lens.
Right, and you. As an entrepreneur, business owner, you get very emotional about your own issues, and having people that can be unemotional and give you that kind of like objective advice from 30,000 foot is really.
And you got to trust them too.
100%. Yeah, that's why it's your board of advisors. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to trust them. What's one tip that you would give to the guy not going into business with his family or starting out? What's the one thing you would say to him?
I mean, like I said, like the first few years, I thought I had to figure out everything on my own, and like it was tough, it struggled. And then I realized, like, hey, I can engage and build relationships with people like you that we're all going through the same things. Might have different businesses, but like the same, family, business, emotions, stress, like winning, like how to handle success, like that sort of thing. There's, we're all going through the same stuff. So like get around people that are going through that journey with you.
Yeah, drop your ego.
Drop the ego, get a, coach or get in a mastermind. Like I'm in a few right now. Like it's always something I'll always do,
We launched coaching and we did a group concept and it filled up quick. And I was like, wow, these people need a lot of help and I'm going to continue to help those people, but I shut it down. But, anybody who's in my space, we have coaching. Yeah. It's going to cost you $2,500 a month now, not $50, but you need to get around people who have the ability to. This is the biggest thing about coaching that I learned, is them sucking you up to their resources that you don't know exist. Yeah. That is the biggest value add.
That's a good point.
It doesn't even matter like if Ryan's great at this or that. It's where's Ryan getting those resources? Where did I get them? It's from plugging away for 17 years. That's where I got them.
Right.
And why am I just going to give them to you for free?
Absolutely.
So don't ever worry about so much of like, do I think this guy understands my world? Do I think this girl understands my world? You want their resources and their ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So wrapping up, dude, I know it's late. It's summertime. It doesn't get dark till late, so we got to kick it off at 9, 10. I appreciate your time. You have an awesome business. Sounds like you have an awesome wife and family. And I love, connecting with new business owners. So cheers. Thanks for coming to the pit.
Cheers, yeah, and it's been fun. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
You make it easy.
I hope so.
Yeah.